Hello everyone, so you're joining me on a really glorious sunny day. It's April the 3rd and I've come to an area of South Yorkshire which I didn't plan to come, but I happened to be in the area, so I thought I'd come and have a look and we'll see what we can find. Brampton over there, Elsecar over there. So right now I'm on part of the former trackbed which goes off towards the Elsecar Colliery, opened in 1850 and lasted until 1984. Soon after it was reopened as part of the Elsecar Heritage Centre, but it's got a bit of an uncertain future at the moment with nothing happening since early 2020 before the first COVID outbreak and lockdowns. So I'm going to show you a little shot over there. You can just make out there a set of buffers and some track sat there, but it's not connected to anything. There's a few bits of rail further up. I'm going to go around here and see if we can get a better shot of that. Now just there appears to be some kids park equipment, so whether that's part of, I don't know what that's part of, but this is fenced off. I can't get to that track. I'd like to have seen it, but it does look as if there is no way on. So there we are, found a way around. And this looks like, well, this has clearly never been used, or some of it's been taken away, hopefully not stolen. But it's an easy walk around, and there's the set of buffers just there, look. And sadly, it looks like it's in a state of disrepair, in a sense that there's not going to be anything done with this in the near future. All sorts of land around there, kids play park equipment, and I think there's a Morrison's over there, because that used to be a colliery, just there I believe. I'm going to follow this up a little way and see what we can find. So there's your buffers there, there's this little section, then this bit is absent. But it does come back again. Let's scramble over this ballast and get you there a little bit quicker. There we go, so there's just random bits of rail chucked there and the track does carry on. So let's have a little ponder and a wander what is going on down here and see what we can find. It's really weird because you can just walk freely onto it. I've passed 2 or 3 different locations where it's just open, it's not fenced off, people are walking on here all the time. Looks like there's quite a camera on the track coming up. That could make for quite an interesting photograph just down there. You might be able to pick it up already. Let me show you what's going on behind. So the buffer stops are just out of sight around that corner. I can just make them out. You might be able to see some green fence just there. There's another crossing and people have been walking along here. You can see on both sides quite regular. Looks like there's been a bit of grass and weed been trimmed down recently. No sign of actually any, I mean, look how rusty this rail is. Incidentally, over there, that was Cortonwood Colliery. That was sunk in 1873. An official closure came in 1985. I'm coming up to a road crossing here. I think it is Old Smithy Road. I'll double check that. I will see how we can progress after that, because we may have to get off the track bed and walk back on the pathway just to the side of me in a moment. So yeah, it is time to leave the track bed alone for now, but what a beautiful part that was. It's Smithy Bridge Lane, this is, and it is indeed fenced off. So I'm going to cross the river, the little brook down there, and follow the other path alongside and see if we can pick up this track bed a little bit later. And through there, look, you can see the route going further towards Elsecar, but we can't walk along this section for the time being. Right, to continue on, we're going to follow the former Elsecar Canal towards the Elsecar Heritage Centre. This is a lovely example of a bridge. Look, try and get out of the sun's glare. Beautiful, isn't it? And there's a flow of water going through there, so it's hard to believe this was a canal with this constant flow going through it. So let's turn you about and I'll show you. So that's where we came from. That is the railway just behind those bushes just there, and we're going to go through here and we'll follow the canal for a little while and see if we could actually get up close to the railway again. We'll also pass the site of Elsecar main colliery, opened and sunk in 1903 and lasted until 1983, and this was also part of a huge complex of collieries and mines and pits around this area, as well as other industries, and also a beneficiary of the railway we've just been following and we're going to look for again. So this is numbered as lock number 2. It's got itself a nice little duck and a moorhen just there, and it's very, very wide, and it looks like it is full depth capacity just there. They've put in a cascade, look, where the lock gates would have once been, and that's when it flows into what is more like a brook than a canal. Now the canal further up looks like it's in water, doesn't it? So I'm quite interested to have a good look at this and follow it for a little longer. So this is lock number 2, and we should actually find locks 3 and 4 further up. So now we're going to lose the canal temporarily, and it's been culverted underneath. The water is relatively clear, I can see the bottom. The brook is just there, and that is going to go under the road bridge there, and our railway is just on that embankment above. You might see a straight line. That is the embankment of our Elsecar railway. I'm going to climb some steps. I've got to go over the road, but I believe I can carry on the route of the canal on the other side. So there's our track bed looking back towards Brampton where we began, and we've approached Tingle Bridge Lane, and it's fenced off, but looking at it again, you can just walk straight onto it. So I might actually just make my way back that way, although it is gated at the other end, isn't it? There's the crossing, look, fenced off on both sides. So it's back onto the canal. We're going to follow that for a little while over Tingle Bridge Lane, where we'll find it again just down here on the right. We've got the brook on the left, and the railway is out of sight the other side of these bushes and the brook. There's the canal down here, look. Got a little weir going down into the pipe culvert we saw on the other side. So we've got another cascade just there, look, which would have formed another lock, lock number 3 on this route. Now over there would have been Hemingfield Colliery, and that's been in development around about the 1840s. That's a very, very old pit, and it lasted until 1983 and finally became demolished around about 1987. Still pretty close to the railway. That is also over there. I can still see the tracks through the bushes. The canal, nice lot of water in there. Some beautiful properties along here too, isn't there? Another peculiar little structure, look, just up from the road bridge we've just come along. Now that looks really, really old. It doesn't look wide enough to take boats through in that little gap, does it? So what would this purpose have been? Has this been extended? Did it used to be a weir after the canal closed? Answers on a postcard for that one. Now, as well as the railways serving Hemingfield Colliery, so did the Elsecar Canal. And if I go down here, this is our canal, look, you'll see there's a bit of stone just there, and this stone just there. And this was a junction into a basin for the colliery. And believe it or not, this basin still exists. All this area just here, there's a stone wall over the back. Now, in the distance, we've got the old winding wheel for the colliery and a few buildings. And I believe there's a pump house over there too. Could be wrong. We'll go and look at that in a little while. If I go over here, look, there's a bit going in there, a docking area to serve the colliery. And where that docking area ends, the track bed runs straight across, and here is another docking area which potentially would have had boats waiting in there before they went over to that area to receive the coal. I absolutely love this. There's so much history, and it's such a shame. I've just been talking to a really kind gentleman that told me about the railway and its current situation, or what he believes is going on. This railway needs to be reopened again. I really hope it does. And also, back at the junction of the Colliery Basin, there used to be a stone bridge going overwards to take the towing path off towards where the Elsecar Heritage Centre now stands, and the canal barges would have gone underneath to collect their goods. Can actually bring you around the other side as well. So the canal's over there, and there's one of the small docks there. Now we can bring you this way, and I can show you where the track bed crosses just here. So I can show you that in a moment. It'd be nice to be reacquainted with that again. And you can only assume a flow of water used to come from the colliery under the railway and feed the canal basin, and then also the canal too. And there we are, reacquainted with the track bed again. Now there's the former pit buildings just there, look. So winding wheels are just there, and all manner of buildings. I wouldn't mind having a visit of that. There's the track bed looking in the direction that we're going. So we should meet up with that again in the very near future. That, I believe, is open on Sundays and Bank Holiday Mondays. I think I'm going to come back and have a look around it. Poking the camera through there, you can see that darkened area. The brook is going to disappear and be culverted under the railway track. So now it is going to be Canal Railway Brook. So we should be able to walk right next to the track bed again and get a better look at that. Because I've missed seeing the railway a little bit, although I do love my canals. So the track bed, look, is right there. It's not really overgrown, so that's really pleasant. It's just grass, but it's very rusty. The canal, on the other hand, is in a far worse state. At this point right now, it is just like a marshy wasteland. Look at that. Far cry from what it once was. So this, I believe, was the fourth lock. Nice and narrow, stone walled. You can see there's a bit of a weir just there where gates would have been. Even a gap for stop planks just there in the event of it needing to be drained. Yeah, you can see it, look, there's a stone wall all the way along there, and I can just make out there where it's exactly the same. So we've come across our fourth lock, and still very much close to the railway, hugging us tightly on the left hand side. We're going to veer off right now, and I can see a church spire in the distance, so we must be getting closer to our destination. Oh, would you look at that? It's a nice little stone culvert there, isn't it? So that's going to go under the railway. That's going to head off in that direction. That looks really, really good. But far too rough and deep at the moment. The other end of it is just there. That's extraordinary, isn't it? I think that might be worth a revisit in the future. I've had a lot of rain the previous week, so obviously I'm not going to do it today, but it's something to come back to at a later point, isn't it? That's a cracking little stone bridge, isn't it? That's Wharf Road up there. It's really nice, carrying the brook down. Now this is the same brook we've just been looking at further down, where it was that culvert and it went really, really deep and narrow. Now it's really, really shallow, but really, really wide. I need to cross Wath Road just up there to continue on my journey along this Transpennine Trail route towards Elsecar. So just a little way up here, I'm hoping to find Cobden Lock. On the opposite side was Elsecar Main Colliery. That will come into view where that was once we get past these trees. So that was the other side of those trees. That was the main colliery buildings all over there. And the railway is just out of sight just there. Over here, I'm hoping to find this lock, because I believe there are still some lock gates present. There we go, look, complete with complimentary rubbish bag. But that doesn't matter. The gates are there and they're intact. It's the first ones we've seen along this canal during its entire journey when we got on it. There we go, look. Nice steady trickle of water going through, making its way further down the canal. If we look over here, the canal is in water as it probably has always been since it originally opened, and we've got an overflow, look, just about there. So it's nice to see a part of this canal looking exactly as it did back in the day of operation. So we're currently moved away from the canal, still very close, that's over there, and I'm walking right alongside the railway track there, look. Not seen a train since early 2020 or maybe even late 2019, because the season might not have even kick-started before COVID closed everything down in late March 2020. So there's a bit of a basin just here, and the canal does appear to come to an abrupt end. But the track bed continues on for a short while, and I'm hoping we can still get into the Heritage Centre at this time of day and just have a little look around. And this was indeed Elsecar Canal Basin, opening in 1798 and lasted until 1928, taking its way all the way back to the Dearne and Dove Canal. So almost 100 years since this closed, 95 years to be exact. And there's the pump house through there, look, for Elsecar Colliery. I believe it was erected and in operation by 1795 and decommissioned in the 1920s. And very sadly, it is all closed off, and it is such a beautiful sight. You've just seen footage of a diesel shunter locomotive, which was most likely used on one of the collieries, and an old Great Western brake van. Look at the steps up to the footbridge, just hoping that it gets happy passengers and families once again. I can show you the view of the station just there, look, over the other side of the fence. I mean, it looks in amazing condition. It's lovely, isn't it? But what is really, really sad, and I've only just noticed, that all the track has been lifted at the station. That is really, really disappointing. Why could it have just not been left, at least as a static display? And there's the former shed just there, look. What an absolute waste. No track going in there whatsoever. That station is an absolute beautiful place. What a bit of history just gone to waste. So I'm going to finish off at Elsecar Dam and Reservoir and see the overspill coming down, which is nice to see, because in a week or so, if we have a few more days like this, it probably won't be overflowing. So I'll take you up to the top where I'll bid you my farewells. Now this reservoir, it was purpose built for the Barnsley Canal. The Barnsley Canal was completed in 1798 and this was completed 4 years earlier in 1794. I believe since 1996 it's been registered as a part of natural beauty for wildlife, something along those lines. Anyway, here's the overspill. We were just stood down there in that corner and you can see that gentle flow of water going over the top. Now apologies for any glare, but there's your reservoir just there. Quite a bit of wildfowl on there and some stunning views too. So I do hope you have enjoyed this video. There's been quite a lot in this, hasn't there? We've got the abandoned railway of the Elsecar Heritage Railway. We've got the Elsecar Canal, also abandoned, looking a swamp in some places, but looking like it was only in use yesterday in others. We've seen that abandoned lock with the lock gates, the Heritage Centre, and finished off just here, the Elsecar Reservoir, built in 1794 for the Barnsley Canal, which I believe is going to be for another day. I'm going to try and follow the Barnsley Canal at a later date because I think it is pretty good and there's some nice bits along there too. Please like, subscribe, comment below, suggestions below as well. Thank you and goodbye.